Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. Today I have to share with you what is quite possibly the latest unboxing ever of a deck that has been out for quite some time at this point and has been sitting on my desk for quite some time at this point. But I thought I would share during Pride Month, which is June, since it is the Queer Tarot by Ashley Malesso and Chess Needham. So I'm excited to have this deck. I've pulled together a couple of other little quotes and resources to share with you while I talk about this deck. Mostly I'm just really excited. It is quite different than the decks that I usually go for in a number of respects, but it is bright and joyful, and queer joy is a thing that I need right now that is valuable, and so I wanted to share that with you. So I will note before I get into unboxing that my box came very damaged. This is not supposed to be like that. It opens this way. I don't really care. I'm not going to keep these cards in this box anyway, and a damaged box doesn't bother me. So I'm just going to keep it exactly how it is. This deck is quite different in terms of style than what I would usually go for in terms of the bright colors, as well as being very, very Smith-Waite inspired. But it reminds me of punk and anarchist zines in terms of the art style, which, you know, the punk show beside the Pride Parade is my happy place if I participate in Pride festivities. So I like that about the feel of this deck that feels really DIY and very, very zine-like to me. And I like how joyful it feels. We talk about representation in tarot and representation in all kinds of ways at times. Sometimes well and sometimes not. And I think that having representations of twist LGBTQ plus communities that are not tragic is really important. And so the joyfulness of this deck really appeals to me for that reason as well. So the way that the deck is framed is as an inclusive deck and guidebook, and as being for the queer community and those who love them. Now, before I get into this deck at all, I'm just going to say that personally, I will use 2S LGBTQ+ to describe my community, the community. I do not use queer as an umbrella term. It's not a word that everybody wants to be called. Just if you didn't already know that, it's important to know. Not everyone is comfortable with it. It's a word that, is and has been used in ways that are horrifying and hateful. So it's important, I think, not to put that word onto people if you don't know whether that's a word that they describe themselves with or not. A little quote briefly just on that, because I knew I wanted to touch on that at the beginning before I got into this. This is a quote from a book that I read last year, I think, Queer Square Mile, Queer Short Stories from Wales, edited by Kirsty Bohata, Mihangal Morgan, and Hugh Osborne. And they write, "The word queer in South Wales is still an insult and hurtful. Hardly anyone there knows that it has been reappropriated, in scare quotes, by academics. The decision to use the term queer theory was not arrived at by some kind of international democratic consensus. Rather, it has been imposed on us through a form of imperialist American linguistic annexation." End quote. So keep in mind that it is a word that is contested and contentious, and just be respectful and be mindful of how you're talking to people and about people. It's important. So there's that. So when on the back of the box it's talking about, the deck made with all queers in mind, that may not actually be, I don't think, necessarily the most inclusive way to talk about twist LGBTQ plus community. There's that. For me, the word queer is bound up with queer theory and queer politics and queer orientations toward the world that are anti-normative, not so much something else that's a umbrella term, right? Though it is used that way, certainly. There's generational aspects to this. That's my 4-minute ramble before I get to unboxing the deck. I have had a peek inside just to make sure that the cards are not damaged in the way that the box is, but I haven't looked at the cards at all yet. So there is a guidebook, which we will look at in a second. And then inside the box is this kind of velvety feeling, hard box that this box sits inside of. This, to me, is kind of a waste of materials. This is fine. This will fit on my shelf. I like this. So, we have Queer Tarot, Ashton Chess's names on the back. It is bigger than a standard tarot deck, which I will also show you in a minute. Take a quick look at the guidebook, just the table of contents, in case somehow you haven't watched an unboxing of this deck yet. The contents include introduction, queerness and tarot, the artwork, how to handle shuffling the cards, choosing a spread, intuition, the deck, card meanings, model credits, and card art descriptions, acknowledgements, and resources. Now, I had seen a discussion of this deck by, I believe it was Tom Benjamin, who pointed out that something that they've done in this book is include the names and pronouns and locations of the models, because all of the folks in this deck are actual people. And I think that that's a really great way of including, I guess, representation in a more direct way. Like these are folks who are of the community that this deck is speaking to and is made for. And I think that that's really valuable. And having, of course, pronouns so that folks can be referred to correctly is also important. I'm not going to obviously read this guidebook in front of you. That would be ridiculous. But there's a bit of an introduction. Yeah, so why are queerness and the practice of tarot so relevant to one another? This is from Queerness and Tarot. Like humanity itself, tarot decks have evolved in their meanings, interpretations, and symbolism over the course of many years. The tarot is a tool that has grown and changed through many generations, much like the ever-changing collective understanding of the queer experience. That could be pluralized. There's not one queer experience. Incorporating queer experiences, there you go, plural. Incorporating queer experiences into tarot, making it more inclusive for a greater number of people, is one of the many ways we can continue to normalize the LGBTQ plus community. So just, and this may seem like we're, being nitpicky about words, but like, I don't want to be normalized in a heteronormative cultural context. just to be clear. But I appreciate that, the spirit of the deck is inclusiveness and representation that is accurate and respectful, and creating a deck that people can find themselves and their communities and their families in. And that is what I'm excited about. And all the bright colors. So here we go. I like that inside of the box is bright pink. That is really fun. Inside it is plastic wrapped. So I'll have to open it. It is an unboxing. I have seen a lot of the cards in this deck because I've watched other folks talk about it briefly without kind of over spoiling it for myself. This deck is really big. Look at how I don't have a standard size tarot deck just sitting around to compare it to, I don't think. This would be a standard tarot sized, this is a prototype card that came with the Triumphi Della Luna. And so you can see it's quite a bit larger than a standard size. And I like this. I like a big deck, it's good. And that's easy enough for me to shuffle. It might be hard to shuffle for some folks because the cardstock is it's quite firm, I will say. I don't know what I would compare this to. It's very sturdy. More sturdy and less bendable than something like a US Games cardstock. Not by too much, though. The size of the deck does change how the cardstock feels, too. And it's smooth. And the cards clump a little bit. But I think that they won't with time. So the backs are really colorful, which is fun. And the fronts are really colorful, which is also fun. And this feels like a really happy deck. And it feels like a deck that is, I'm not saying retro. I mean, there's definitely something about this that feels that way to me. But it feels kind of simultaneously contemporary, but not contemporary in a way that means it will be dated really quickly, if that makes sense. It feels like there are, yeah, I'm not saying that well, but I'm here and I'm excited about this. So that's something. Okay. Now let's just see. Here's the Fool. And I really like the outfits in this deck from what I've seen. I'm all for like loud prints. You wouldn't know from what I'm wearing right now, but I'm all for a loud print. I think that's really fun. And it feels hand done. You know, like these illustrations feel really hand done, which is cool. The method that this deck is created with, I think is called risograph? Yeah, printed on a risograph. So risograph machines are these wild duplicators from Japan that look like clunky copier machines you would find in an office. They were originally intended for mass printing in single colors, like for flyers and letters. Within the past decade or so, riso printing has taken an artful turn and is now evolving into a wonderful and experimental new way to produce art using soy-based inks, some of which are fluorescent or metallic. Each color layer was printed separately, so that the lines are a bit not colored within, which I like, which I like for the spirit of this deck, I will say. The colors we printed with are made from combinations including sunflower yellow, light lime, fluorescent pink, fluorescent orange, aqua, cornflower blue, and black. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool looking. And I like that kind of photocopier. That's what gives it the zine feel, I think. Right? Like Sharpie like photocopied 100 times. It's cool. It's really cool. We chose to risograph this entire deck because the imperfections and natural textures and brilliance that come with risograph art seem to embody the concept of life itself. It's not always going to be perfect. There will be times when your life feels like it's colored outside of the lines, but that doesn't mean it isn't beautiful. It might mean it. I'm adding that it might mean it's actually more interesting. So, without further ado, first impressions. I like it. I like it a lot. So it's very Smith-Waite inspired, but also very much its own artwork. You could easily read this right out of the box if you were familiar with Smith-Waite, without even looking at a guidebook. But let's just see what a guidebook entry looks like for a card, to give an idea. Okay. There's quite a bit. And there's quite a bit for both majors and minors. That's nice. Okay. We are going for I'll just look at the High Priestess since that's what I just showed. This model's name is Chala. Their pronouns are they and he. And so for each entry, we get keywords. This one is subconscious mind, nurturing, rest, and femininity. The High Priestess is radical and mysterious, offering you spiritual enlightenment and wisdom. They are a muse, able to travel between the conscious and subconscious mind and encouraging you to switch between these two realms. The High Priestess often symbolizes femininity, an energy everyone holds, intuition, rest, reflection, and divine wisdom. Connect deeply with this. You know your own truth better than anybody else, and the High Priestess reminds you of this, no matter what anyone else may say. Take a moment to step back and see which parts of your life seem to lack balance, and make the time to explore deep within yourself to find equilibrium. Remember, you are part of a community, and the High Priestess prompts you to step back and collaborate with others rather than work against them. This card reminds you to take a deep breath and be still. Your mind or pressure from others may be hounding you to make snap decisions or judgments, but the High Priestess encourages you to explore stillness and instead consider the big picture. This card may appear when you're facing a situation in which you must make a decision, but truly feel you don't have all the necessary information. If this is the case, go with your gut, trust your instincts. And then you get a very brief reverse meaning. You may be feeling blocked or closed off to your feminine nature, like you need to act and execute rather than ponder. Take the time to practice your intuition and begin to trust yourself again. Rest. And then there's a section called Things to Consider, which says meditate and enjoy the calm that comes with it. Explore the feelings and thoughts passing through you. And you better believe there's thoughts passing through me that I'm going to share with you. But I will say before I get to that each of the majors and minors has the same. So it has a write-up. The minors, the write-ups are a little bit shorter. They all have keywords. They all have a short reverse meaning. And then they all have a things to consider. So I will say to offer you a thing to consider in the spirit of queer tarot. I don't love femininity is in everybody as a framing here, and the idea that you're being closed off to your feminine nature, like you need to act rather than to ponder, as though acting is masculine and pondering is feminine, and everyone has and does both. I feel like that really runs the risk, of retaining a binary understanding of gender. It does. While I see the thought process of disattaching that from, particular body types or particular identities or particular labels and all of those kinds of things, and saying, well, everybody can access all of these kinds of energies, it still retains the sense that there's some sort of masculine, feminine set of opposites that is inextricably, for me, bound up with patriarchal colonial thinking about gender. Yeah, so I struggle with that. I do. I understand that folks feel all kinds of different ways about these kinds of ideas, but that's briefly a struggle that I have. I do appreciate that so far it seems like in putting different models on different cards, the creators have not followed any kind of traditional gender associations of the cards, and I think that that's great. I do think the disruption of heteronormative and cisnormative thinking could be pushed further in the book so far. That's what I'll say about the book. I'll stop looking at the book and just share the cards now. Slowest unboxing ever. It's 19 minutes in and I'm on the third card. Okay. The Empress. I really like the symbol there. The Emperor, similarly. The pants are fantastic. I would probably wear those rainbow pants. Only thing that I don't love about the cards so far is that I find the font difficult. The bright colored font on the bright colored art, I feel like is really challenging, and I appreciate how difficult it is to make it readable, having just gone through this process with my own deck, trying to figure out how to put text on colorful backgrounds without it getting totally lost, and also with not wanting to have borders. So it is a challenge, but it could be more readable. But there's a number on the top. It's not like you absolutely need to read the font, right? So that's fine. The Hierophant. So far the titles are all unchanged. And I like that. I don't need titles to be changed in order for a more gender inclusive representation to happen. I think the keeping those traditional titles but changing the representations that accompany with them can also make a deck a lot more inclusive. For example, I think the Fifth Spirit Tarot keeps all of the titles Smith-Waite based as well. The Lovers. I can't tell if this person's tank top is strawberries or carrots, but I'm enjoying it either way. The outfits are great. The outfits are great. I'm excited about that. The Chariot. It's a beautiful card. I have read other folks point out that, you know, having a wheelchair in the Chariot is the only representation of visible physical disability is not great. But it's a beautiful card. I love that there's body diversity in this deck. And I like that there is, it seems like, some age diversity as well. Strength. I really like the colors outside the lines. I really, really like that. Like, even just looking up here at the rainbow and the stuff, like, that is really cool. I really, really like that. And I feel like age diversity in a deck like this is really important. And I'm glad to see some age diversity, because I feel like first of all, just LGBTQ like community and media representations can be very youth oriented, I think, a lot of the time. And I also feel like because so many of us grew up perhaps as very young people, children, without knowing any adult or older people who were like us, right? That makes it hard to envision your own future. You know, when you're growing up young and gay or lesbian or bisexual, and maybe, you know, coming out and being told that it's just a phase, for example, and at least, you know, from my experience, like being told that it's just a phase paired with not knowing any adults who shared my identity makes it a lot more likely, at least it did for me, that I would internalize the idea that, yeah, like maybe it is actually just a phase. And that's really invalidating. And that's really damaging. And so seeing elders, like seeing to us LGBTQ plus elders represented, I think is really, really important. It's really important for all of us, but it's especially really important for younger folks. I'm going to try not to get emotional too much, but there it is. The Hermit card is beautiful. I love this Hermit card. The orange font is a challenge, but I really, really like. There's a cat. There's a cat that kind of looks like Bandit in the Wheel of Fortune. And I love that too. Justice. I love that strange checkered floor that looks like it's leading right up to that person. I think that's fun. The Hanged Man. Death. Death is wearing the probably strawberry but possibly carrot printed pants. These ones are definitely strawberries because they're pink, I think. And also a cap. I don't know about Death in a baseball cap. I don't know about that. And the weird green moon in the background. It's cool though. It's cool. This deck has a cool vibe to it. And the person who has been trampled by the death card is wearing a sad face t-shirt. I don't know about the baseball cap though. Temperance. I like all the checkers a lot. Yeah, really like this. Really like this. The Devil. In some of these places, like this kind of cards, I'm surprised that they would go as Smith Waite as this. It's interesting. Again, I like the outfits happening here. Tower. I like this star card a lot. The moon. The moon has two dogs and they're both wearing bandanas. I quite enjoy a dog and a bandana. So this makes me happy. The Child on the Sun card is riding a unicorn. And that makes me happy also. And flailing a big rainbow banner. That's fun. Judgment. First impressions, but this might be one of the best Judgment cards I've ever seen. I very seldom like this card. But I like this one. And the World. And the person in the world has an awesome animal tattoo, which is fun. Okay. I'm going to try not to say a whole bunch of things about every single card or else we're going to be here all day. Ace of Wands. Okay, so the wands looks like, or the wands. Yes, the wands. But the minor arcana, it looks like the aces have the text on the bottom and then the others have just the number. So 2. But it is definitely very recognizable that that's a 2 of wands, right? If you are accustomed to. Those pants are fantastic. I think this person is just really cool to me. I love the lime green pants. I think fantastic. 3 of Wands. of Wands. Five. Six. I like the horse is wearing a cherry pattern, which is fun. I would wear this rainbow jumpsuit, I think. I'm not sure where, but that's pretty great, I think. Oh, I'm excited. Seven of Wands. Eight. 9. With these floors that are a checkerboard that emanates from one place is very interesting to me. I like it. It's interesting how hand colored it feels, knowing that it's basically copier created. 10. Okay, and then the quartz have the titles at the bottom as well. Page. I like this bright blue lipstick. I like that a lot. Night. Yeah, and I guess it's the risograph gives it this kind of the dark sky is not really consistent, you can see. Like it's kind of, it's not quite gradient, but sort of. And that's a cool effect, I think. Queen of Wands. I'm into this cat in the bottom corner. There's the cat in the bottom corner. And the King of Wands. I am quite into this headpiece as well. That is quite a crown. Very cool. Ace of Cups. Now, if you've seen this deck, you know what I'm like. The cat and the two of Cups. I actually think that it adds something vital. I think that that's fantastic. I love it. I love the cat in the sky and the Two of Cups. So excited. If you're going to deviate from Smith-Waite in a very Smith-Waite deck, if you can do it to put a giant cat, that's a reason. That's a reason to do that. 3. The figure in the Four of Cups is not only wearing a sad face t-shirt, but also sad face printed pants. That is like a fuck no to this cup. I really like the colors in this one. This is so much fun, this deck. I'm excited. Qualms about the book aside, I really like this deck. 5. 6. 7. 8. This is another set of plaid pants that I would totally wear. I do have a couple of pairs of checkered pants. It's a good look. 9. and 10. Page. Knight. Queen. And king. And the king is holding a pride flag. And wearing fucking fantastic footwear. If I do say so myself. I would not wear those. I would fall on my ass if I wore those. But I appreciate. Ace of Swords. 2 of Swords. This is really cool. I really like the sky in this. That's very interesting. Interrupting the rainbow there with a night sky in the middle. That's very cool. 3 of Swords. Very standard. I like the kind of cloudiness with the little glimmers of light coming through. That's a nice addition, I think. Four of Swords. Five of Swords. Also, again, the fabulous footwear that I would have a terrible time in. Six of Swords. It's interesting, you don't usually see the faces of the people in the Six of Swords. That I think actually gives a bit of a different take on it, I think. Which is interesting. I'll have to think about that. 7. I like purple hair a lot. 8. The 8 has a rope bondage tone, which I also appreciate. 9. Oh, wow. The 9 of Swords is also wearing the sad face outfit. And you can see her taking off their glasses. It's like little touches. Really like. And 10. Page. The Knight of Swords has a leg tattoo that says Daddy Issues on it. I don't know if you can see that. The horse is like, what the fuck is going on? I like the facial expression of the horse. In several cards, in fact. Oh, she's beautiful. I like this queen. And king. Ace. Two of Pentacles. I really like this Three of Pentacles a lot. Four. Five. Okay, so the Chariot is not the only representation of potentially disability in the deck. There's a cane in that card as well. 6. The Six of Pentacles is a card that I do kind of struggle with. I'm not sure what the dynamic here quite feels like to me. 7. I like this. 8 with the rainbow. 9. And 10. And the last set of quartz page. The Knight of Pentacles is on a green horse, which I also enjoy. Is that one a... Oh, this one is not quite a unicorn. It looks like this horse has maybe 2 horns? I'm not sure. Queen of Pentacles and the King, who is wearing a print of a range of kind of fruits, which is also on the ground in this deck as well. You can see, or in the card, excuse me. The fruits. That's fun. I'm excited. I'm excited about this deck. I love the colors. I love the patterns. I like how big it is as well. I'm excited. This feels like a very happy deck in many ways to me. And I'm excited to explore this and other twist LGBTQ plus centering decks in my collection over this month. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Thank you for watching my long overdue unboxing. I hope everyone is well. I'll see you all again soon.